What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Kinesio Outdoors gear review video. In this video, I'll be talking about something I'm really excited about, and that is the Chain Boots Phantom Step. The reason I'm really excited about this is coming from my biomechanics background, as I was getting into grad school, doing a lot of running, things like that, learning about biomechanics, I found that traditional footwear was actually causing me to have knee pain. And part of it was because the footwear just kind of wasn't designed for the amount of miles that I was trying to get out of them. So I just did this long dive since fall of 2019. I've been trying to dive into minimal footwear, and now I have sneakers. I now wear my dress shoes in minimal footwear, and my hunting boots is what I prefer. And part of the reason I prefer my hunting boots to be minimal footwear is they're lighter, which equates to more metabolic efficiency, as well as they're quieter, and that's something that I'll dive into in a bit. So, really excited to talk about the Chain Boots Phantom Step boots. Now, I've put 18 miles on these boots, so not too much, so I'm going to say this is like an initial impressions video. I'll do another one after I've put a season or two through these boots. And most of the hiking I've done is on the trail Tubbs Hill and Coeur d'Alene. I also went out last night. I was really excited. It was raining sideways, 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, and I put these boots through that, walked through wet grass intentionally, and was able to test the water resistant nature of the boots. So got a little bit of wear in them. Right away, the first thing, and this is common with most minimal footwear, is it's really lightweight and it's pretty flexible. And that's common for minimal footwear. The point of it is so that way your foot can act naturally. So the way I think of it is this is kind of an armor, if you will, to protect your foot from doing what it's supposed to do. So if you step on a rock on the medial part of the foot, you're going to get some of that rotation of your foot. Your foot has 3 arches. It's designed to have a lot of movement, and it's really important that these boots allow you to have that movement. So that was one thing that stuck out to me quite a bit. And then another thing is that, where am I here? Oh, they feel extremely durable. Now, this is something that I've had issues with in the past. I've used Softstar out of Philomath, Oregon. I've used Vivo Barefoot. I've used 1 or 2 of theirs. I've used 3 models of Zero Shoes boots, and all of them just didn't have that durability. I never had one pair of boots last more than a season without some issue. These are really, really durable, and I think that's because in the Chain Boots, there's cactus and things like that. So Peyton and Lynn really wanted to have something that's going to protect your feet, again, kind of have that armor effect. So those are 2 things that I think are really positive about these boots that I'm excited to continue to look at as I continue on. Now, first things first is getting the boot on. Now, these boots have like a neoprene bootie, it's kind of what they're calling it, and that's going to be this piece here. It's really cool because it kind of fits around the ankle in a nice way. However, it makes it challenging to get the boot on. So getting the boot on is a little challenging. The first 2 times I noticed it was a little tougher, and then the third, and from then on it's been getting noticeably easier. So just initially it's going to be a little hard to put on. I really like to stretch it to get my foot on, and then I'll put my finger on this little pull tab here to get my foot in the boot. Once my foot's in here, I feel that I can have it really secure. And once my foot's in, you'll notice the toe box is maybe a little bit wider than normal, but it's almost like a standard shoe, which minimal footwear most commonly is going to have wider toe boxes, again, to allow your foot to be more natural, have the movement of the toes. And for me, this was a little narrow. So I do need to have the kind of viewer discretion of, I'm a size 10, I think it's 4E width. I have really, really wide feet. I had my feet sized by Lathrop & Sons boots. That's the way it is. So talking to Peyton on the phone, he said try the 10.5, and it's pretty close. I can already feel, you can see at this spot here, it's ever so slightly starting to protrude. That is the boot kind of molding to my foot. So already this canvas upper is doing a great job at kind of molding to my foot, almost like a glove. However, for me, in my specific situation, it is a little bit narrow. I talked to Peyton, it sounds like they're gonna try to have a wider toe box than some other models in the future. But if you have really wide feet like me, just kind of something to be aware of. So even though they are a little bit snug on my wide feet, they are really comfortable. And again, I think that's that canvas, and it's the fact that these are meant to be rigid and flexible. So that is something that's really nice. So the next thing I want to talk about is the water resistance test that I did. I did 2 tests. One of them I got on video, the other one I didn't get on video. And the one I got on video, I'll put a clip right here. So what you're looking at in that video is I was at the, I think it's called the Spokane River, I don't remember. And I just put my feet in and I made sure to get my feet in the water up to where I was on this neoprene booty. So I was making sure to get all of this canvas material into the booty wet and over this kind of sole. Now with this is the left foot. What's super common with minimal footwear is you'll see separation or delamination. The boot had this before I stepped in the water, and this is not something to say that they have low quality boots. Every single minimal boot that I've ever seen, minimal shoe I've ever seen, has this issue because there's so much flexibility in the material. It's hard to have something molded and glued perfectly without having something like that happen, especially if you want a hard bottom. So, not knocking them there, that's common with every single brand that I've tried. Now, despite that delamination, my feet were not wet. I held them in for 20 seconds, and then I did it again for another 20-25 seconds. My feet stayed dry. Now, the other water resistance test was last night. It was raining. I don't know exactly how hard to like put this in the terms, but it was raining hard enough that I put on my full set of rain gear. And I mean, with the dirt, it was kind of like a gully washer. So I intentionally walked through some grass. Neighbor had their sprinklers on, walked right in front of the sprinkler, and my feet were almost perfectly dry. The reason I say almost perfectly is because I believe, and it was hard to tell, my top of my foot was ever so slightly wet. I was out for 25 minutes in these conditions. Again, 15 to 18 mile an hour wind gusts. Ever so slightly my feet were wet just at the very top here. And my guess is this neoprene booty is where that kind of issue was coming in. To be fair, I did intentionally walk and put my boot in front of a sprinkler to really get the full effect as much as I could. And there was definitely no discomfort with how wet it was. They did a really good job. So I was pretty impressed with that. I've never had a minimal boot be that water resistant, waterproof. I've had boots that claim waterproof, water resistant, and just fail immediately. I was walking through, again, soaking wet grass as it was pouring rain, and my feet were almost perfectly dry after 25 minutes. I was pretty impressed with that. So the next thing I want to talk about is the quality of the materials. So this is something that really sets them apart, and I'm now looking at their website, so forgive my eyes here. So they have a puncture resistant boot that is up to 800 newtons. 800 newtons is an insane puncture resistance level. And in videos Peyton has on his Instagram page, he's stepping on nails and things like that. These are really, really durable boots. The canvas upper is very durable. It might make it slightly louder, but it is a very, very durable material that is going to be really nice for walking through some kind of harder or more harsh conditions. I don't see rubbing this against a rock means something that's going to just like rip the boot right open. So I feel like these are very durable, and despite the durability, again, they have really great flexibility and a really good fit despite that toe box issue that I mentioned earlier. So some of the things that I really, really liked and some things that I would like to see are, first of all, the thing that I really liked is kind of this boa strap system. I think it's really cool. It really allows you to get things really tight. Sometimes boot laces have a hard time cinching and staying cinched. What I usually do is I'll take paracord, I'll pull the guts out, burn both ends, and then that'll be my laces, and those work really great. I think that this is something that I'm gonna like a little bit better. Now with that, I have slight concerns with this getting gunked up in this internal mechanism here. Sorry, in the internal mechanism. I feel like it could get gunked up. I don't know, I haven't put mud on these. However, that's just something that I see could potentially happen, is dirt, grime, something getting in there and gunking this up. Again, I don't know, if that happened and you just splash it with water, would it be clean? I'm not sure, but that is something that I could see as a potential issue with these. However, getting these on, it's super awesome. Tightens up really quickly, really evenly. I really like these. Pull it out, loosen it up. It's really great. I also want to add, and I forgot to mention this earlier, the comfortability of these boots is really great. I wore these and I just drove around. I think I drove like 2 hours in these boots, and I would not be able to do that with any traditional hunting boot. So that is just something that's nice. It just kind of speaks to the comfort of these boots. Now, something that I would wish to see is a gaiter clip, and they don't have one. This is where this material here, it feels like it's some sort of plastic. It's probably pretty strong, pretty strong to like tensile resistance. But if I put a gaiter on here and try to clip it up, I just am not sure how well a gaiter would hang on, just because it's such a thin material. I just don't know how that would really fare. So that's something that I would like to see in the future. In summary, these boots, for a first attempt is what I'm gonna call it, first release, are the best minimal boots that I've tried. I've tried the Vivo Barefoot Trackers, I've tried Softstar, I've tried Zero shoes, their sneakers and their boots. I've tried 5 or 6 different shoe types from the middle. These are the most durable. These have quite a few features, especially for the price point. These have this neoprene bootie, which I think is going to be really nice for that water resistance. There's a lot of really great things in this boot, especially for the price. These are my new favorite boots. I really like these kind of boots for 3 seasons, and I think they're gonna do just fine up into some light snow. So I'm really excited about these boots. I'm really excited to see what Peyton's gonna do with this company, and hopefully they have more things out so I can keep trying their stuff. If you have any questions about what you have, please leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.